Hey everybody, how's it going? Today's November 30th, 2019. In this video, I want to talk about this news story from today where Josh Shaw, a defensive back for the Arizona Cardinals, was suspended by the NFL. Allegedly, he was caught betting on league games. Now, this player had not actually played in any games this season. However, he broke league rules by betting on the games in the league and is thus barred from asking for reinstatement until the year 2021. Now, on this channel, I talk about the language of numerology with a strong focus on Gematria, or Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words. And it's my contention that the NFL is not what we would call a legit sports league. While there may be some games that are played out legitimately by the players, most of, if not all these games, are rigged by the numbers, and stories like this are pushed into the media also by the numbers in order to keep people thinking that these leagues are legitimate and that people such as Josh Shaw are being filtered out and that there are steps being taken to make sure that these games are legit, but it's anything but. So let's talk about why this man was chosen on this particular date for this numeric ritual. We begin by looking at Josh Shaw's date of birth, March 27th of 1992. Yesterday, the date he was suspended, Friday, November 29th, 2019. On that date, Josh Shaw turned exactly 1,444 weeks old. Now, what's interesting about this number? Well, 1444 has a square root of 38. So 1444 directly connected to the number 38. In reduction gematria, where every letter is reduced to a single digit using the rules of numerology, this begins with J, the 10th letter, 1 plus 0 is 1. K, the 11th letter, for instance, 1 plus 1 is 2. In this cipher, the phrase gambling sums to 38. Today, November 29th, is also the 333rd day of the year. The name Josh Shaw, using prime numbers, which is the alphabetic order, only using numbers divisible by 1 and itself, the name Josh Shaw summing to 333. But here's where the riddle gets very interesting. When I saw this story today, the first person who popped in my head was, of course, Pete Rose. Pete Rose is by far the most famous sports personality to have been banished from his sport due to gambling. Back in the year 1989, while he was managing for the Cincinnati Reds, it was discovered that Pete Rose had been gambling on baseball for many years. The similarities are clear right off the bat. First of all, Josh Shaw, 2 words, 4 letters in each name. Pete Rose, same thing, 2 4-letter names. Notice how the name Josh Shaw equals 103, 113 in the reverse order, and 41 reverse reduction. These are the same numbers as the name Pete Rose, 103, 113, and 41. Pete Rose's full name is Peter Edward Rose. Notice how this name sums to 229 using the reverse alphabetic order, where Z is assigned 1, Y is 2, all the way through A is 26. In English Extended, his name also equals 1,229. And if you measure from Pete Rose's birthday on April 14th to the date of today's news story, or I should say yesterday's news story, Josh Shaw being suspended, it was 229 days after Pete Rose's birthday. Josh Shaw is on the roster for the Arizona Cardinals, despite not having yet played a game for the team because of his shoulder injury, which he was placed on injured reserve for back in August. This March 18th signing date stands out for a special reason. March 18th is the 77th day of the year. The name Peter Edward Rose in reduction gematria equals 77. And this is a story about sports betting, which equals 77 in the reverse alphabetic order. There's an interesting prime number relationship when you measure between the birthdays of Pete Rose and Josh Shaw. But what's more interesting to me is that Pete Rose accepted his ban from baseball on August 24th of 1989. If you measure from that date to the date of Shaw's suspension, you get an interesting number, 30 years, 97 days. With the zero dropped, as it always is in numerology, this number becomes 397, which is a prime number. Here we find it's the 78th prime number. Now, 78 happens to be a special number for Pete Rose. Pete Rose achieved his 3,000th hit in the year 1978 while still playing for the Reds. That same season, he went on a legendary 44-game hitting streak, one of the longest hitting streaks in baseball history. 1978 was also his last year with the Cincinnati Reds. Pete Rose also is currently 78 years old. Now here's what's my favorite part of the riddle, which is the clear age alignments. And these aren't necessarily the same numbers, but they're the same digits. And if you call this a coincidence, I think you're quite foolish, but allow me to make my case. Josh Shaw, born March 27th, 1992. First of all, here's an interesting alignment right off the bat. Not only is he 10,109 days old, a number with that really significant 119 string in it, but he's also 119 days before his next birthday. The National Football League, who suspended Shaw yesterday, on that same date, the NFL was both 99 years, 101 days old and 1,191 months and 9 days old. This goes even further. Back in the year 1992, which happens to be the same year that Josh Shaw was born in, the federal government passed the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, which technically made sports gambling illegal on a federal level. This act was passed on October 28th of 1992, and then it was lifted last year on May 14th of 2018. This means the ban was lifted a span of 199 days after it was enacted, or the anniversary. And then if you measure from the date of that ban being lifted to the date that Josh Shaw was banned, it was 1 year and 199 days. This goes one step further. What about the NFL commissioner who would have been the man to issue the suspension to Josh Shaw? Notice how Roger Goodell equals 191. He was born February 19th of 1959, which means when he issued the suspension, not only was he 22,199 days old, but he was also a span of 9 months and 11 days after his birthday. So no matter what measurement you make with the people involved in this, you get a lot of ones and nines, and that seems to be what this is all centered around. In fact, if you measure from Josh Shaw's birthday to the date that he signed with the Cardinals earlier this year, it was 11 months and 19 days. It looks like the headline of the article on CNN also paid tribute to these numbers with the English and Latin gematria. A couple other interesting observations at the end, but to me, the riddle is quite clear. Josh Shaw, 2 names, 8 letters, the same gematria as Pete Rose, and Peter Edward Rose equals 229 and 1229, and the man is 229 days after his birthday when Josh Shaw was suspended. So this seems to be what's going on. More deception at a very high level. Again, it doesn't take a genius to watch the National Football League, particularly primetime and playoff games, and know that something is extremely fishy around the officiating, the play calling, some of the decisions the players make on the field. A lot of the times it simply does not add up. And again, this is because what we're experiencing on the field are numeric rituals. It's my belief that most of, again, if not all the games in the NFL are rigged. And remember, guys, Vegas always wins. You can beat the bookies. It can be done. But not that many people are doing it. Either way, I mean, if you can find out how to predict these games accurately and consistently, more power to you. But this type of news story is exactly the type of thing the media needs to put out in order to give the image that the league is enforcing itself and policing the activity of its players to make sure that no tomfoolery is going on. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks to everybody for jumping in, whether you were watching live or archived. All right, guys, we'll be back with you soon. Peace, love, and God bless everyone. See ya.